Welcome to the Divisional Championship Round recap of the USFL here, brought to you by Driving to the Top Productions. I have the familiar fam of the Driving to the Top Productions podcast here. We are going to bring in our very first guest, the man of the hour, the man with the words, the quick poetry, the quick poems, the best name in the game, Chris Berman Jr. How we doing, buddy?
We're doing great tonight, Evan. And I got my first of all, I got my Muller's jersey on right here. So this is awesome.
You see it. It's right here. If I get my finger right on my green screen. Yeah, there we go.
I do see it right there. So, excuse me. Yeah. So, how are you? How are things with you?
It was real cool, man. I had a super busy weekend, but we'll get into that after the show. I'm gonna bring in the next man of the hour, the Stallion Brigade, the Free Scooby Wright movement leader, PFN legend, Birmingham Stallions GOAT fan page writer, Luke Miller. What's up, bro? How we doing today?
This is all you need to know right here, Jamie. Stallions Nation.
We got a little beef going. We got a little beef going already.
We went from fast friends to fast enemies.
Hey, it's
all you need to know is number one defense in the league, whereas New Orleans couldn't stop anything on Sunday. So
that's true. That's true.
And now we bring in the creator, the man, the myth, the legend, sports talking it, a Pittsburgh fan, a Squealers fan, a two-patch Pirate fan, sports talking it. How we doing, bud?
Well, I missed the whole weekend due to me being at a festival in Columbus, Ohio. Got to see some of my favorite bands and had a good time finally. I got to get the hell out of here, you know?
Absolutely.
Never thought I'd have a good time in Ohio. No, I'm kidding. We had an absolute blast, Evan, and yeah, so
like Rock on the Range.
I missed the whole weekend. I did see for Saturday night as we were walking out, someone texted me and said, "Hey, we go to the finals," and I was like, "Okay." Didn't see any of the game. Was trying to wait and be surprised, but you know, sometimes it doesn't happen that way. But anyway, we got rid of those colors behind me, and we're back to normal Pittsburgh colors.
See, I told you that jersey was ugly as hell.
I don't give a shit. It's still a Muller's jersey. So, Luke, how you doing down there, buddy?
Wait, so were you at Rock on the Range?
No, I was at the NoFX final tour, the Punk and
I went to
Drubber.
Rock on the Range in Columbus when I was growing up.
They still have that. That is a 4-day festival now, I believe.
Yeah, it was big when I was, I think it was 2 days when I was in like middle school, high school. So I figured it's probably still a big thing.
The one I'd like to go to is Louder Than Life in Louisville. But that's way too expensive, and now they expanded it out to 4 days. And
Sonic Temple
try to mix it up. But,
all right, here I got something you can do. Just bet $10,000 on the Stallions winning the championship, and then you'll have the money to pay for whatever concerts you want to go to.
I was just saying that
tonight.
I was just saying that if Alex Magoo has a big day like he did on Sunday against a no-name defense, we could be in trouble.
So
but
that's
if
a
our
great
defense sticks as the number one defense like it should, it's going to be a good game.
So with all that being said, that's a great segue. We're going to do it a little different here. We're going to start with the second game first this week, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the Birmingham Stallions and the New Orleans Breakers, the 7-2 versus 8-2. Two top offenses, two dominant quarterbacks this year, two teams that really didn't have any road bumps this year. The game that I really thought was going to be the game of the weekend this year. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Luke Miller to start, and I'm going to save my man Chris Berman Jr. for the next game. So, Luke, go right ahead.
Sure. Well, man, this is one of those games that it's really hard to describe, I think, if you weren't there or if you didn't watch it live. I'm sure that I've seen something like this in the past, but I was trying to think, and I couldn't really come up with anything where I've seen teams dominate before. That wasn't unique. But I don't know that I've ever gone to a game or watched a game where you had two teams that seemed to be pretty evenly matched, had played multiple times before, and had two very close games. One team won one team won the other. Two very similarly, kind of teams in terms of their strengths and weaknesses, kind of all that build up. And then to have one team come out and just sort of wipe the floor with the other one. I mean, it's hard for me to think of a situation where, again, I'm sure it's happened before, but at least in my lifetime, games I've attended or watched live, it's hard for me to think of one quite like that. Just such a dominant performance. You can look at the score, you can look at the scoring summary, you can look at the play-by-play, all those things, but it doesn't really capture how lopsided of a game it was. The Stallions scored on their first 7 drives. They would have scored on their 8th, except for they fumbled the ball, and then they turned around and scored on their next one. They never punted once the entire game. Their defense gave up 1 touchdown on the second drive of the first quarter, and they didn't give up another score until garbage time in the 4th. Had multiple 3-and-outs against the second best offense in the league. I mean, it was just absolute domination on both sides of the ball. Magoo just, again, I don't really know what you say. Like, the guy looked like you were watching, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes playing against his local high school defense or something like that. I mean, the Breakers couldn't tackle him. I mean, it didn't matter how many guys they got in the backfield, how close they were sacking him. It was impossible. They couldn't sack him. He literally would just run around until he found somebody open and make a crazy throw. Him and his receivers were totally on the same page. Like, there was one touchdown he threw to Davion Davis. It didn't look that impressive, maybe like on TV, but because it was only like a 5-yard completion. But live, it was crazy because like Magoo got the ball. I was to his back right, and they brought a corner blitz. The guy was untouched, and he just looked like he was going to obliterate Magoo. Magoo just dropped his arm, kind of like, again, Mahomes-esque, and just right around the guy. And I couldn't even see a receiver on the backside of the cornerback. Like, I don't even know how Magoo saw his receiver. I don't even know if he did. He might have just knew where the guy was going to be instinctually, but just slung it around the guy, right into Davion Davis's arms, walks in the end zone. Like, just things like that were just super impressive. And, yeah, I mean, it was just absolute domination. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. And, the Stallions had a great crowd. Birmingham, we don't know an exact number, but at least 15, maybe 20,000 people packed it out and were going wild. And it was I mean, as a Stallions fan, I was really afraid we were going to have a night similar to the Panthers Maulers game the night before. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack, with us in overtime, waiting to see what happened. Cause I really thought this game was going to come down to the final possession. And, fortunately for me, I didn't have to have a heart attack. I was able to kind of just enjoy it from really the first quarter on. As a fan of the Stallions, it was certainly a fun game to attend and be at. And as a fan of football, it was very impressive just to watch what this team was able to accomplish in a huge playoff game.
Absolutely. So the one thing that I have to say about the play of this game is this was the Heisman moment for the Stallions. If you ever go back and look at some of your favorite Heisman guys, we always have that one game where it's like, this is his Heisman moment. This is where you knew he won the game. And all that, though that one player played really great, everybody else on the team on all sides of the ball stepped up and had a great game. And I feel like that's what this was for the Birmingham Stallions. I absolutely agree with you when you say that you felt like this was going to be one of those overtime games, last possession kind of games. I totally didn't think that this game was going to be close, but I'm also not surprised by the outcome, watching the way the Stallions have gotten better week after week, regardless of the result at the end of the game. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Chris Berman Jr. here to get his thoughts on the game.
Can I, real quick, before Chris Berman Jr. Puts me in my place, can I just to piggyback real quick off what you were saying, Evan? I will say I totally agree with you. And as somebody who's followed the Stallions very, very closely for 2 years, I've really been waiting for that kind of moment where specifically Magoo, but really the whole team, but especially Magoo, sort of like plateaus or kind of takes a step backward. And it just hasn't happened. Like every week, he somehow gets even better and more impressive. And it's just really been wild to watch. But go ahead, Jamie.
All I gotta say is I can't put you in your place with that game because that was an amazing performance by the Stallions. I mean, and just like Evan talked about the Heisman moment, and I think this was an NFL moment for one Alex Magoo. We keep talking about it every week, Luke. We keep saying that Alex Magoo every week he deserves to get an NFL shot. He deserves to make an NFL roster. He deserves to be that game right there. I know it's a cliche, but that game right there just I turned over during the game and I said, yep, this was his NFL roster moment. This was his best game all year. And this game clearly showed to me that he belongs on an NFL roster after the season, win or lose this Saturday, he's making an NFL roster. That game already proved it to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say at the game, I do know at least I was able to confirm. I know there was a Washington Commander scout in attendance. And my guess is, I don't know this for a fact, this is speculation, but my guess is there were other NFL scouts in attendance as well. Who they were there to see, who knows? But I'm sure Magoo was one of the names that people were there to watch.
Without a doubt, absolutely, Luke. You couldn't have said it better.
I mean, it almost comes out as like I'm sorry, Adam, but that seems like the perfect team for him.
Yeah.
When you think about what's going on and how they run their offense, how the kind of leader that Rivera looks for. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was that guy. I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
I was going to say maybe someone whispered in Davian Davis's ear that there's a scout here because he broke I think yards after catch. He had to be up over. I mean, yards after first hit. He took many hits and just kept going to the end zone. He found it twice, 75 yards. And if you watch both those touchdowns, he should have been tackled for like 10-yard gains. I don't know if that was just bad on the breakers or good on his part, but he showed a lot of athletic moves and agilities there. So I'm doing the ends talk about a scout being there. Sometimes some people just figure it's time to shine.
So that brings up one question to my mind. Did anybody get the feeling that this moment was too big for the Breakers?
New head coach, maybe.
Because they were having the reason I'm asking is because they were having a great conversation of talking about the Cleveland Browns and some other teams in the league where they were talking about coaching changes, and that's why the reason they were talking about the Browns and a lot of other teams was that a lot of fans want a coach that's a motivator of men. But that, let's be honest, guys, that only works in high school and maybe in college because at this point, everybody that's there has an alternative motive of why they're doing what they're doing and why they love this game, whether it's for their family, to change situations, to show their kids that they could do something, or just to show to themselves and the people that didn't believe in them that they can really do it. And I just felt like after rewatching the highlights, this game, it just didn't feel like New Orleans really belonged there, even though we know from covering them in the season that they really did.
Well, Evan, you talked about
go ahead,
talk
Adam.
about New Orleans being there, and it's been mainly Bethel Thompson. He's been the key to their success. It hasn't been West Hills. It's been Bethel Thompson. And he had 2 interceptions, I believe, on Sunday.
If I'm not mistaken, I can look it up.
He did.
So, I mean, Bethel Thompson was their offense, was their main success. Like, maybe did Johnny Dixon even show up?
He had a few catches, but nothing crazy.
Nothing like he's done all season, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, the Stallions.
So you shut down one of his main targets.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? when you look at the Stallions, you can shut down, what is it, Kane, Stornberger, and then all of a sudden now someone got to worry about Devon Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, Davion Davis, I'm sorry. And then there's even another guy, Josh Johnson.
Yep.
Wasn't he a former NFL player?
Yeah,
Played for the Niners,
didn't he get his
right?
first catch of the season in this game?
He had
2 for 58 in a touch.
I think he had
so now all of a sudden they got a former NFL player on their team that's showing up.
And you're doing this without Bo Scarborough. You're doing it with C.J. Marable, who C.J. Marable was on the team last year, but he was splitting carries with Scarborough. And this year, Marable's had to be the main guy without Scarborough, and he's stepped up as the main guy.
They ran the ball like crazy, guys. You guys, like, what they run for? Like 250 yards about? I think Magoo had 80. Don't even know who Peterson is, and all of a sudden, then you just talk about Marlboro.
85. I think Person had 85. Magoo had like 85, and Marable had like 75.
That's a tough formula.
That's what New Orleans was trying to do early on. That's their offense too. When you watch them go under center, but they got so far behind after being up 7-3, they couldn't run that offense. Their plan was to run the ball and chew up much clock that early they tried to do against Bama, but they
were
couldn't
down
do it
too fast, too quick. This game was over at
try
halftime.
to do that. Yeah.
Like Luke said, he was at the game and got to relax. There was no stress. Like, Luke, what day are you leaving for Canton?
I'm leaving Thursday, driving halfway and then driving the rest of the way Friday.
What is it, about 10 hours?
Yep.
Well, hopefully
we need tickets for the game, so we'll be definitely talking to you.
Hopefully, we get to get a picture with you, Luke.
Yeah, for sure. I will say for the Breakers, I think what I would say is obviously they're a very good team, and I think what happened this weekend doesn't take away from that fact, and it doesn't take away from how good of a season they had. That being said, I do think, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, for as good of a quarterback as he is, and I genuinely mean that, he's an excellent quarterback and a very, seasoned quarterback, very successful quarterback. One thing that has plagued him throughout his career is turnovers. And I think those 2 interceptions that he threw, especially one at the very beginning of the game on their first possession, that really did not help them to get off on the right foot. We kind of expected this to be a little bit of a shootout, or at least I did. But part of the reason for that was because the Stallions defense has not necessarily they've done a good job at preventing teams from scoring touchdowns, but they've given up a lot of yards. It's very much been sort of a bend but don't break kind of strategy. And against the Breakers, who have a really good offense, that's a dangerous game to play. But they came out, got an interception, they gave up that touchdown, but then they had multiple stops, 3 and outs. And I think the Breakers, the Stallions were firing on all cylinders. And I think the Breakers, their record now against the Stallions is 5-1. And I think the Breakers, I don't want to say they didn't come out ready to play, but I think they just came out and got smacked in the mouth by the Stallions. And I think their confidence really went away, and you saw that. And I think they just kind of got into that mode of like, here we go again.
You think they were overwhelmed by the fans? A lot more fans in the house, a lot more pressure.
I don't know if I'd say overwhelmed, but I think it did make a difference for sure. The last time the Breakers and the Stallions played, the Breakers were technically the home team, and they were on the bench right in front of all the Stallions fans. And I can tell you, because I was sitting there, there's a lot of words being said. There's a lot of heckling. They were having, kind of a rough game that game with turnovers and stuff, and people were really letting them have it. And I think, coming out into this game, you're on the road, you're playing against a team when you typically aren't used to in this league, playing against huge crowds. Not that this was a massive crowd, but by spring football standards, this is a good crowd. You got maybe upwards of 20,000 people screaming at you, and you're just getting smacked in the teeth by the best team in the league. I mean, they just seemed like they were playing after after a couple mistakes and after they started to get down, they just seemed like they were playing afraid, like they were scared, like they couldn't tackle any of the Stallions players, couldn't stop anything the Stallions did. The Stallions were, smacking them in the mouth on defense every play. Like it was just, they just, yeah. I mean, it was so one sided. And again, I don't think the Breakers. I guess this is how I put it. I think the Stallions have said this before, and it kind of sounds cliche, but I think they proved that it was true this weekend. The Stallions have said, like, we're our own worst enemy. Like, people don't usually stop us. Like, we stop ourselves. And if we don't stop ourselves, like, nobody can really stop us when we're firing on all cylinders. And, like, they came out against a very good Breakers team firing on all cylinders and not shooting themselves in the foot, and they were 100% right. Like, they were unstoppable. Like, literally unstoppable. And I think the Breakers just weren't ready for that. And then it was just like, it was just too much coming at them too fast. And they just looked lost. I mean, they didn't know what to do.
So yeah, I think that points to exactly what we were talking about. And I don't know why this game popped in my head, but I kind of got that 49er Green Bay feeling that we had for a good 5-6 years when it came down to Rodgers going up against the 49ers and how they would be great. Just that feeling of when they finally got to that one team that they play against, and it's almost like they come into the game defeated. But yeah, no, I want to jump back to this, but I definitely want to get Luke's opinion on the second game before we make some changes here. So, Chris Berman Jr., what are your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Panthers game here?
All right, so here we go, folks.
Wait, Pittsburgh Panthers, they're the Maulers. We have the Pittsburgh Panthers, Evan.
Did I make that mistake?
Yes, you did.
My bad, guys. The Pittsburgh,
versus the Panthers.
the Maul. Yeah, let's just do that. We're going to talk about the Maulers Panthers game.
Okay.
We have the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Here we go. All right. So at the beginning of the season, this was a game that was kind of a bit of an afterthought. As last year, everybody pretty much knew who was going to be in the North Division title game. Last year, you had the 9-1 New Jersey Generals who were rolling and marching along literally with Mike Riley winning head coach of the year last year. And then you had the 6-4 the 6-4 Philadelphia Stars, or it's like Coldplay always says, the sky full of stars with head coach Bart Andrus and star quarterback Case Chef Cookus. And New Jersey ended up being defeated by the Stars that game. And everybody said the Stars were ready, and the rest is history. Birmingham won a tight championship game, 33-30. And we congratulate Mr. Luke Miller that on a season well done there for season one. But anyway, moving on to this year. And
I hope I'm not clapping Tuesday. All right, Luke?
And
for you.
And then what happened? And then last year in the North, where were Michigan and Pittsburgh? Last year at this time, Pittsburgh and Michigan
we were fighting for the first playoff pick.
Yes, exactly. We were fighting for the first draft pick, and Michigan won that game. So Michigan got their first round pick, and we were able to use our second pick to take a quarterback named Lindsey Scott, who we didn't play all of this year, but I think maybe
he signed with the CFL, I believe, Jamie. I think he signed with the CFL.
Oh, he signed in the CFL.
I think so. Yeah, I thought I read that.
But anyway, good luck to him in that league. But boy, how do things change in a year? We go from teams that were 2-8 and 1-9 at the bottom of the league to this year, both teams at 4-6, Pittsburgh being number one in the division and the Michigan Panthers being number two. All we got to say is in this game, nobody overcomes the Pizzagate like the Pittsburgh Maulers. So anyway, let's go into this game. In the first quarter, we start out. Michigan gets a field goal by former SU kicker, or as I call special teams U, Cole Murphy, and the field goal is good. Michigan leads 3-0. But Chris Blewett responds with a 45-yard field goal. It is good. We are tied at 3. We go into the second quarter. And here we go. Pittsburgh touchdown on a running back by big Garrett Groshek. And I think we should start calling Pittsburgh Big Back University, because boy, does Pittsburgh love those big running backs, those big 6'4", 220 running backs, 220-pound running backs from Wisconsin. And we get a touchdown there. Pittsburgh leads 10-3 at the half. But Chris Blewett kicks a field goal before, and it's no good. So in the third quarter, a touchdown. E.J. Perry scrambles in, and Michigan ties the game at 10. Then Perry on the next play throws a bomb to Marcus Spears, and Michigan leads 17-10. Oh my God, the Mullers are trailing. But in the fourth quarter, in the beginning of the fourth quarter, Bailey Gaither takes a jet sweep from Williams, the quarterback. Game is tied at 17. And after a missed or a failed fake punt conversion on fourth down, Cole Murphy kicks a 52-yard field goal, but it's no good. And the game is tied at 17. Then Blewett from 59 yards. It's good. It's good. Pittsburgh leads 20-17 with 3:20 to go. Can they hold on? But Michigan on the next play, E.J. Perry throws a deep up. Oh my goodness. It's caught by 2018 7th-round pick, Mr. Irrelevant, Trey Quinn for the touchdown. Michigan leads 24-20. But Troy Williams, as cool as a cucumber, has been able to handle the situation, runs a perfect 2-minute drill, and throws a touchdown to Ishmael Hyman. Touchdown, 39 seconds to go. Pittsburgh's going to win it. Hopefully it's over. 27-24. It's over, right? But Michigan gets the ball back. Perry leads them on the drive. Cole Murphy kicks the field goal, and the game is tied, and we go to overtime with the game tied at 27. And the way overtime works is each team rotates the alternate 2-point conversion like they do in college after the third overtime. So we begin. Pittsburgh has the ball. Williams throws it to Stocky, and the 2-point conversion is good. Pittsburgh leads 29-27. Then Michigan gets the ball, but it's a fumble in the end zone, and they recover it. We think the 2-point conversion is good. Game of 29, right? But they go to the replay, and Mike Pereira in the replay central determines that the 2-point conversion is no good because the ball did not cross the plane. So it's still 29-27. Then on Pittsburgh's next possession, Williams scrambles. It's good. It's good. 31-27. All the Mullers need is one stop, and they're going to be riding in, and they're going to be giddying up into play in the Stallions and staying in Canton. Perry looks. This is to save the game. He throws. No good. It's deflected by Omar. Omar with the big pass, and the Mullers win 31-27. What a miracle, folks. From 1-9 last year, and the worst team in the USFL last year, and Kirby Wilson gone as head coach to now hired with Ray Horton. The Mullers are going to the USFL championship game for the first time in USFL history, both since the original USFL and this USFL in season 2, and they will get a shot at the Stallions. Oh my goodness. Muller Nation, you still be going nuts right now.
Well, great recap, and I love the energy, Chris Berman Jr. I definitely thought this game was going to be one-sided. I thought that the Maulers, were going to definitely take that hammer of theirs and blow and beat the Panthers to death. But I'm actually kind of happy that this game was as close as it was, because it showed the fight of both teams and why it doesn't really matter about what your record is and more about where you play your best football. And that's going to be what we see next week. when we have the Maulers and the Stallions go against each other. But I will go ahead and pass this on to Luke Miller to see his thoughts on this game.
Man, I thought it was a great game. More offense than I expected. You definitely saw how good those defenses were at points, especially in the first half. The Maulers defense was really putting the clamps on the Panthers offense. And the Panthers defense had their moments too, but a little more offense than I expected. And, can't say enough good things about EJ Perry. Just thrown in there at the end of the season, thrown in a Week 10 game, must win to get into the playoffs, leads his team to a late victory against a defending North champion Stars team. Then comes in, sets a modern USFL playoff record, or maybe it's just a USFL playoff record, I think, for passing yards in a game with 370 against the best defense in the league. Throws a 72-yard bomb to Marcus Sims for a touchdown. I mean, dude was making plays. So I think if you're a Panthers fan, it definitely stings to lose this one, but you got to feel like the future is bright, assuming Perry comes back, because that was kind of the missing piece. I mean, Josh Love was really good at times, but he was also really bad at times this season. He was very inconsistent, and Perry just has a spark that he provides with his legs and what he can do with his arm. He's just kind of a natural leader, I think. He could be kind of the next Alex Magoo potentially of this league. So I think Panthers fans have to look forward to having him back next year, assuming that, he doesn't get an NFL shot, and building around him on the offensive side of the ball. But kudos to the Maulers. Jamie said it really well. They've got that from worst to first kind of tagline going, and they're backing it up. I mean, they're one win away from literally going from worst to first. And so kudos to them for hanging in there. They were up early, let the Panthers kind of claw back, but they never quit. They never gave up. They kept fighting, kept making plays, and they were able to pull it out in the end, thanks to not only a good defense, but also some good offensive plays, special teams plays. They're a complete team in ways. Their strength certainly is their defense, but they don't have a terrible offense or terrible special teams. They've got maybe the best special teams in the league, and increasingly, better by each week offense. And so they got to feel good about what they've accomplished, but I know they're hungry for more, and it's shaping up to be a great championship showdown this weekend.
I completely agree. We talked about it last week. We talked about the Maulers, how they were going to be reacting to Perry. We didn't know anything about the guys as the team. We faced Love both weeks, and we beat them. Perry still had a pretty good game, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, we're talking about a quarterback we didn't really see before, didn't have much film on, and we still beat him. So that's the good thing. But the bad thing is we let up a lot of passing yards, I felt. We didn't let up a lot of run yards from what I was reading, but we definitely let up a lot of passing yards. And as Jamie said in the coverage, he said Trey Quinn, who I heard of him. I knew he was there, but, like we just talked about Davion Davis, who came up big, I mean, they're in Canton. There's probably scouts there, too, for these games. I mean, the USFL is connected to the NFL somehow, right? So, I mean, there's probably scouts there, and they probably got words in their ears,
For sure.
But will the Maulers be able to stop Magoo next week? Or is he going to be like playoff Mahomes? Is he going to be able to do it again? And say, hey, I'm not the only quarterback and throw whenever I'm falling down, like you put in the video game for Mahomes. I don't know. I think we are in for a really good game this week. Luke, I know you're going over with Webb on the USFL network over there in a couple minutes, and I am grateful to see you come on. Thank you. Hopefully, me and Mr. Evan up there get to see you this week. We'll actually be live,
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. And,
but what are your thoughts for the game this weekend, real quick, before you get out of here?
Yeah, man, I don't know what to expect anymore. If I've learned anything from this league this year, it's almost pointless making predictions because I just get things wrong. But, I think, so here's what I'll say. to kind of get to what you were just alluding to, I think if the Stallions play this weekend like they did last weekend, then I think the Stallions win, and it might not be very close because the Stallions, the way they played last weekend, I mean, they're just on another level. Now, is that going to happen? You know, I don't necessarily think so because it's the championship game. You got those championship game jitters. You know, the Maulers defense, I think, is too good not to make some plays, maybe force a turnover here or there. Magoo did have his worst game of his entire USFL season against the Maulers the first time they played. So, you know, we'll find out if that was just more a case of him making bad decisions and kind of shooting himself in the foot, or if that was something that was caused by the Maulers defense when they play again this time. But I do think the Stallions.
Luke, real quick, you think this is going to be like a Niners Chargers Super Bowl? Complete blowout. What was it, 56-22?
This is what I say. I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen, but I do think that's possible, right? I think the Stallions are capable of that. But the thing is, the Stallions are also very capable of shooting themselves in the foot. Like, they've proven that over and over, right? Like, coming into last week's game, they had 8 turnovers in the previous 3 games. That's not good. That's almost 3 turnovers a game. And the Maulers are great at forcing turnovers. So it's like, to me, it's kind of a question of how sound do the Stallions play. I think if the Stallions play very sound football, I think they just have too much for the Maulers to be able to keep up with them. If the Stallions turn the ball over, make mistakes, give up big plays on special teams and other kind of aspects of the game, it could get very interesting. You know, so the first time these two teams played, it was a close game. Stallions won 24-20. Deon Kane returned a touchdown late in the fourth quarter to win the game for the Stallions, basically. So, you know, it wasn't any kind of blowout. Now, again, the Stallions didn't play well. Like, they turned the ball over multiple times. Magoo threw 2 interceptions. It's the only game where he's done multiple interceptions all season. 2 out of his 5 picks were in that game. And so, again, if the Stallions clean that up, I don't know how close it'll be. But, you know, again, part of that is assistant coach of the year, Jaron Horton, you know, his game plan coming into the game. It wasn't just Magoo making bad decisions. There was some of that, but it was also the Maulers playing really good defense. And so, you know, if I had to pick a team as far as like who do I think is going to win, I'm definitely going to lean the Stallions. Maybe that's my bias, but I do think they're the better team, and I think obviously their record and stuff shows that. But if there's anything that we've learned so far this year in this league, like, anybody can win any game, right? Like, these teams are not that far apart. You know, it's not like last year if the Chiefs played the Panthers or something like that, right? Like, you know, it's like any team could win on any given weekend. It's just a matter of who shows up, who comes out ready to play, and who doesn't make the most mistakes. I do think a big part of the game will be the Stallions' defense, because I think the Stallions' offense, they might not score a ton of points against the Maulers, but, like, you know, they're going to score some points. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're going to get somewhere between 20, like low 20s to high 20s, I think, at a minimum. They're just got too much firepower not to find the end zone a couple times. That being said, the question is, can the Maulers score more points than whatever the Stallions put on the board? If the Stallions defense plays the way that it did against the Breakers for the vast majority of the game until kind of garbage time, I just don't see how the Maulers put up enough points to outlast the Stallions. But again, the Stallions defense hasn't been super consistent or super amazing all year. So it's very possible that the Maulers could put up 25, 30 points, depending on, again, on if there's turnovers, how the defense plays, etc. So all of that to say, that's a long way of saying, I think it's going to be a good game. I think more than likely than not, it'll be a close game. I do see the Stallions pulling it out just because I think they're the more complete team. But if the Stallions, again, shoot themselves in the foot, the Maulers could pull off, you know, a humongous upset. And again, if you follow the XFL, you know it's not that far-fetched, right? So
right. I was just wondering if you saw the Stallions putting up another 555 yards of offense.
I mean, I don't think I see them putting up that much. But the thing is like, the Breakers defense was no joke. I mean, actually, if you look at the stats going into the playoffs, the Breakers had the number 1 scoring defense in the league. They gave up fewer points than the Maulers, not by much. It was like a point or two. But the Breakers defense was no joke. And what the Stallions came out and did to them, you know, I mean, the the Maulers better come ready to play, because if the Stallions come out with even 80% of that intensity, they could easily put up 450 yards and 40 points. Now, again, I think the Maulers' defense is certainly good enough to prevent them from doing that, but the Stallions have that kind of firepower. Like, that's what you're going up against. So they can't fall asleep at the wheel like the Breakers did.
Before you go ahead and get out of here, Luke, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me at on Twitter at Luke Miller PFN. I've got my right there my handle if you want to follow me. Also got some articles that come out on usflnewsroom.com. I published an article recapping the Stallions playoff game against the Breakers. I'll probably have a preview piece coming out this week on the championship game, kind of more from a Stallions perspective, and probably have a recap of how the game goes down as well. So you can see all those articles at usflnewsroom.com. Hate to have to jump off here early, but I'm going to go talk to Webb, kind of the big Maulers guy, and
tell him I said hi. I'm like his junior, I guess.
I will tell him for sure.
I haven't talked to him since the beginning of the year, Luke, but tell him I said hi.
Well, he'll be in Canton too, so we can all get together.
Oh, I figured he would have already been there.
Yeah, he's been there before a few weeks, but yeah, he'll definitely be there this weekend. So we'll.
No, I meant I figured he would have been there right now, ready to go.
Oh yeah, he might be. That's a good. Who knows? I might get on the Zoom call with him, and he might be with the stadium behind him or something. In the parking lot, camping out.
Oh, hey, tell him I said hi, and hopefully we get to see him next weekend.
Sounds good. All right. I'll see you guys this weekend.
See you this weekend, man.
See ya.
But with all that being said, gentlemen, we'll go over the predictions of the game, and then we'll save everything else for next week so that we can give the fans the best series recap for the championship game. So I'm going to let Chris Berman Jr., Jamie Malloy drop his prediction, and then Sports Talking It, you'll go second, and I'll go last.
So, Evan, just real quick, I just want to let you know that Matt is doing a show right now with Cal Andrews. Matt and Josh are with Cal Andrews.
So definitely, if you're watching this, go check out the Charm City Heavyweights. Also brought to you by Driving to the Top Productions. They have a very special guest that was just mentioned. We definitely want to show them some love, so go check them out over there once we're done in the next 10-15 minutes. But Jamie, go ahead with your score prediction.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a really close game. I'm actually going to go with the upset. I got the Maulers pulling it out. I got them winning by the exact same score that they beat us earlier the last time, 24-20. Yes, Birmingham's the better team record-wise on paper, but it's in Canton, Ohio. It's another home game for the Maulers. And just like Luke Miller and everybody on Twitter in Birmingham that did their hashtags and it went viral where it said Pack Protective, where they got 15 to 20,000 people to show to the game, and they ended up getting that many people at the South Division Championship game. I have a call to action that I did on Twitter, and I want to say it now. Maulers fans, if you want to show up to this game against Canton, it's another home game, and it's for the USFL Championship, and it's a big one against Birmingham and Alex Magoo. So I want to tell you, pack Canton, pack Todd Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. We need a rowdy fan section. We need a rowdy fan section with signs and everything to counteract and to show up Birmingham this week, because we're going to need you guys if we want to pull this big upset off and win the ship this week.
Absolutely. Sports Talking.
I'm going with the Stallions. I'm going with the Maulers. I can't go with the Stallions. I can't root against my home team. I'm going to say 34-27.
I have been thinking about this.
The defense gets 2 touchdowns.
I have been thinking about this all weekend, all day yesterday, and all day today. I'm sorry,
sure
Maulers fans. I really have. I'm sorry, Maulers fans, but if you don't stop these guys early, it's not going to be close. I have the score 35-17 Stallions. If the Maulers, and I know I'm hedging my bet here, if the Maulers defense shows up early, I have the Maulers 21-17. But it really does, in my eyes, fall on this defense. And for that 21-17, I have the Maulers scoring a defensive touchdown. So that's my prediction. You guys know where to find us. Does anybody have any special shout outs or anything they want to say before we go ahead and get out of here?
Yeah, I do. As a Mullers, the shout out goes to Mr. Matt the player at the Pittsburgh Maulers, for liking my tweet, my call to action about packing Canton this week at Tom Benson Stadium. And make sure you tweet that on your Twitter account, man, and hashtag that and get that around and make sure that goes viral like Birmingham did last week, because we want to do that at Canton this week and get the message out like they did last week.
Absolutely. Sports talking it.
I'm ready to go. I don't. What time does this game even start?
8:00 on NBC.
So it's a night game.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, this is brought to you by Driving to the Top Productions. We may have a potential sponsor. I wanted to save that to the end of the show.
Nice.
That sponsor we will talk about and work out the details for the three of us as we carry on this Driving to the Top Productions program that covers so many great things. Like we mentioned earlier, the heavyweight, Charm City Heavyweights, where they cover all things Baltimore. We got so much more. And guys, I apologize that I don't remember everybody's name, but we got so much going on here at this channel. You can also find me at Talking Sports by the Lake, podcast where I cover all things Cleveland, the XFL channel, which is XFL Football 2023, and here, of course, every week religiously talking about the USFL and the excitement that it brings us. But thank you for sticking around for all of the season, into the divisional round, and now to the championship round of the USFL season. We'll see you guys next week on Tuesday at 9:00. Peace.
Wait, you guys got to ask me where you can find me too.
Oh wait, I'm totally sorry, Jamie. I thought he did that already. I apologize. Go ahead, Jamie. Go ahead.
Evan, no one did. You asked us for like a shout out instead of saying
my bad.
Our
y'all.
final.
My bad.
It's all good, man. All good.
Okay, so this is Jamie Malloy, guys, but you can find me on my first Twitter account, Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags and DefiantTakesFootball.com. You can also find me here on my second YouTube page, or sorry, not YouTube, excuse me, my second Twitter account at Bills Chant, one at Bills Mafia Chant. That is going to be my my Bills and Buffalo only solely focused channel, where I'm going to be doing podcasts, a show on here on Driving to the Top Productions on the Buffalo Bills. So stay tuned for that after the USFL season. And I also write for Defiant Takes Football, and you can find my sports stories there on the Buffalo Bills, Syracuse Orange, and spring football, which is both the USFL and XFL. Thank you guys so much for the support.
I'm at Sports Talking It at Hammer Time Pit. Also, you can find me on Driving to the Top on Twitter and also on YouTube. Like and subscribe. So we got SAT Sports 89, which is Marcus, and he's got some LSU content coming out hopefully tomorrow or Friday. We are working on that. Championship bout guy. Very excited about this one. And then we have Matt on Thursday talking to Tim Kirchin. Very excited about this one as well at 8 o'clock. So things are moving, man. Things are moving. And like we said earlier, you're talking to Kyle Andrews right now, who covers the Wizards podcast and also was a Penn State University reporter.
Out of here with that BS, man. Anyway,
you take a job wherever you get a job. You know what I'm saying?
Facts, but we still not rocking with that. Anyway,
listen. If I got offered a job at First Energy Stadium, I think I'm going to turn it down. No,
I would personally let them know not to do that.
I'm just saying I wouldn't turn it down because it's a good job.
Neither would I. Obviously, I just did the Taylor Swift and I've done a couple games up there, but I still have on my Browns gear underneath and I let people know. But I'm not really supposed to do that, so I probably should shut up. but yeah, no. So absolutely, I've absolutely enjoyed doing these shows with you guys. The support that we have for each other has kind of made us into a family. Jamie, I'm so glad that you joined us. Adam, I'm so glad that you gave me the opportunity way back when.
You're welcome, Evan. I appreciate it. And I joined at the right.
Evan, you know what was funny?
At the right place at the right time. So go ahead.
And it was funny. Gina wanted to introduce me to you.
Right. Absolutely. And the crazy thing was, I think I followed you before I followed Gina.
Gina's like, I want to reach out to this Evan guy. And I'm like, who? I'm like, hey, you do what you want. I don't know. You can talk to him. Now look at us. We've come a far way.
Absolutely. I don't even remember what I did with Gina. I know that Gina had a
basketball show, weren't you?
Oh yeah, that's right. I jumped on and did her basketball thing. I don't remember how that came about, but I jumped on to
something about the. Did anyone from Golden State go to Cleveland, or were you guys playing Cleveland?
No, Cleveland. We played Golden State in Golden State. And
that was probably
I came on there. Yeah, this was around the time of the Ben Simmons trade thing was going around. Before he before he eventually got moved around, and I know that we ended up talking about all-time Cleveland lineup and everything like that, and we just kind of, I don't want to say tied the knot, but we tied the knot ever since, and we've come a long way. But that's the reason we're called Driving to the Top Productions, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give everybody their flowers in this group. This is not a job for us. This is a hobby that we're trying to turn into a job. So when everybody watches this, shares this, just know that we definitely appreciate you guys and the hard work that everybody is putting in. We're all not going to reach the top at one time, but we're all going to be at the top together.
Evan, I wanted to say congratulations on your channel for getting over 1K last week too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, Evan. Adam told me too last week. I heard.
Thank you, guys. I want to shout out to the lake house. We're now going to move to the boat mansion because we got too many people in here. We want to make sure that everybody's nice and comfortable. We're going to move from a river to a real big lake where we can have everybody in their nice little boat, nice and comfortable as we put on this show over here at the lake house, finally hitting 1,000 subscribers. I think right now we're at 1,021. Let's continue to get that number to jump.
I saw 28 earlier.
You might have checked it more recently than I have, but either way, to those 7 or those future 7, I am more than grateful for the growth that has come with this channel over due time. But yeah, guys, that's all I got. I'm losing my voice. It's dinner time.
Hear that.
So is this the real sign out?
I think it is. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe. Peace.